Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
As a matter of law, does it matter if there was a quid pro quo?
Every public official that I know believes that his election is in the public interest. And mostly you're right. Your election is in the public interest. And if a president does something which he believes will help him get elected in the public interest, that cannot be the kind of quid pro quo that results in impeachment.
Alan Derschowitz just made some interesting arguments, right? Some bizarre arguments, right? Just a little different there. And again, as we wrap this thing up and we head towards whether or not we're going to do this, you know, you're hearing we have enough votes to stop witnesses. We don't have enough votes to stop witnesses. I don't think until the vote actually arrives will we know exactly what's going on, because I don't know if they're capable of telling the truth even to each other. They probably go, God, I lie so much, I don't even know what the truth looks like anymore.
All quid pro quos are fine. It's carte blanche. Is that really what we're prepared to say with respect to this president's conduct or the next? Because if we are, then the next president of the United States can ask an investigation of you. They can ask for help in their next election from any foreign power. And the argument will be made, nope, Donald Trump was acquitted for doing exactly the same thing. Therefore, it must not be impeachable.
That's Schiff's response to Derschowitz. Let's be completely real. They all think that they getting reelected is in the best interest of everybody but themselves, right? Quid pro quos are used all the time. What you're arguing is, did you use the quid pro quo in such a way as to try to force another nation to dig up dirt or else, right? It's one thing if you're a nation saying, if you guys don't clean up corruption, we're done with you, period, case closed. That's what the Democrats are arguing. No. As a nation, you can do that. But to benefit you personally, you can't do that. Right? Now, the funny thing is he says there is like, Adam Schiff's like, well, they could do that to investigate you. Slow your roll, right? Right? Edward Snowden already, made everybody well aware of what's going on. Right? Everybody knows what's going on. Case in point, FISA. This more comes out about Carter Page. Find out that, hey, they're pissed because these warrants were unlawful. They didn't even get close to where they needed to be. They lied about it. And this was the guy who was working with Trump's campaign. Remember Comey? Well, we've been vindicated. Well, you weren't vindicated. So when you talk about quote unquote, yeah, well, they can do it to investigate you. Let's just slow your roll. You guys investigate people all the time.
I was overconfident in the procedures that the FBI and Justice had built over 20 years. I'm responsible for that. That's why I'm telling you I was wrong. I was overconfident as director in our procedures. And it's important that a leader be accountable and transparent. If I were still director, I'd be saying exactly the same thing that Chris Wray is saying, which is we are going to get to the bottom of this, because the most important question is it systemic? Are there problems in other cases?
Oh, yeah. Would I be surprised? So when we talk about, they can do anything to investigate, just slow your roll, Adam Schiff. But it was a bizarre argument, I will admit, by the likes of Derschowitz, right? It was a weird kind of argument about that, right? And he's an interesting character. You know, he's been all over the place at times, and he readily admits that.
The president's...
Now, this is interesting right here. Again, the whole thing about the defense of the quid pro quo, right? And it gets into the weeds again. Remember, Clinton was super simple, right? It was about what? Abuse of power, obstruction of justice. He lied about what? Stuppen and intern, right? They lied to Congress. They don't like that. This gets a little deeper into it. People get bored with stuff really fast. We have the attention span in this country of a gnat, right? Where, ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, shiny object. Ooh, look over there. It's got to be quick and easy. That's why these last several days of this has been absolutely tedious. I talked to a couple people yesterday who work with some senators who say one on either side of the aisle, and they said they are absolutely bored to death because they're just repeating the same thing over and over and over. So you got to come out every time something happens, and you got to come out and you got to say something. Okay, here we go. Let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about this. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
The President's counsel's argument that support for Ukraine has never been better than it is today. That under the Trump administration, they are the strongest ally the Ukraine has seen in years. So just assuming for a minute that argument to be true, it kind of makes our own argument. It kind of makes our argument. Then why hold the aid?
Fair question. But that is real. I mean, we're sending him stuff. Obama sent him about $126 million, give or take a few, but most of that was stuff that had very little. They wouldn't sell them any lethal weapons. They wouldn't give them opportunities to do certain things. So Trump is absolutely right in that. But that's a fair question right back to, but then why hold the aid? Right? Why hold the aid? Well, why'd you do that? Because, yeah, he was looking for dirt. See, if it was Rudy Giuliani, I've said from jump, he's got a problem with Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani's out there, he's running around doing whatever Rudy Giuliani does, and quite frankly, it gets old, right? I've said he's had a Rudy problem from the start. If Rudy's out there digging up dirt, no problem there, right? All of these campaigns have people that are digging up dirt. They all have their wannabe TMZs that are digging up dirt and going places that nobody else is going and doing things that you're really not supposed to be doing, and it makes everybody uncomfortable. All of them have that. But when you do it with the might of the United States behind, that changes a lot of things, and that's what the Democrats are arguing. Hey, you used the full force of the United States. You used money that was allocated by Congress for them for personal gain. Yes, they're corrupt. But in saying all of that, we allocated this money, and you're not looking for them to stop corruption as a whole. You were looking for them to dig up dirt on a guy that's potentially your rival come November. Ooh, that's interesting. Saying all of that, what does it mean? Nothing. Without witnesses, this isn't going to go any farther to changing anybody's minds. And I don't even know if witnesses are going to do that at this point in time. I think we're so far torn away from each other that we've planted our flags, and this is the hill that we're going to do this on, and there's not a lot we're going to be able to do outside of this. November will be the trial of Trump for the American people. This is politics at its best and worst. Great that we have checks and balances. Bad the way at times checks and balances are used. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Monday, Iowa, man, it is so hard. First of all, even with take away what happened to Trump, right? You know, and how bad that he was going to get beat by Hillary and all of that stuff and how the polls were wrong. Take all of that away. Getting engaged in Iowa is super tough. You could look at 10 different polls and they'll have 5 different people in first, right? They'll have 7 different people in second. It is crazy. At this moment, I think it's a 2-horse race, right? I think it's a 2-horse race at this point. I think it's between Biden and Sanders, with a Warren and Buttigieg battling it out for third. Yang a distant 5th. But that could be all wrong. We Monday night, it could be like, it could go Warren and Buttigieg and then Yang. You just don't know. I do think that Bernie's got the steam, but it's probably not helping that he's stuck there. And look, if they start bringing in witnesses, this is something else to think about, right? If they start bringing in more witnesses. Jay Sekulow said this last night. How many witnesses are going to be? How long could it take?
We're not here to argue witnesses tonight, but it obviously is an undercurrent. But to say that this is not going to extend this proceeding, Months.
What's that like? Take away the months. Let's say it takes 6 weeks, right? You got to coordinate with everybody. You got to do certain things to people. Let's say it takes 6 weeks. That's a lot to be missing. If you're Sanders and Warren in particular, because Klobuchar, again, she's holding her own. She's doing the best she can. I still don't think she has a shot. I think she's running for vice president. Bennett, people don't even know who he is. But that's a tough one right there. 6 weeks away, Like, you've been planning for Iowa for months. You've been out there 1,000 times. People know who you are. You've got a bit of an advantage, Bernie, because New Hampshire's next. You're familiar with the Northeast. You're up and around there. You're from Vermont. But outside of that, it's going to be tough because you visited all the other ones less and less. And you want to get off to the start that puts you out there. And when you look and you say 7 out of 9 Democrats who win Iowa go on to be the nominee, it's important to get off to a good start. It's like the old saying in sports, right? You can't win the Super Bowl or the World Series or any of these things early, but you know what you can do? You can lose them, meaning you could get off to such a bad start or struggle that it's too hard to catch up. We'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. AMAC, Association Mature American Citizens, fastest growing over 50 organization in the country. And right now you have a chance to join them for free. You get all of the great stuff that they offer. Retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, and so much more. On top of that, they're out there fighting on your behalf for things like Social Security reform, Medicare reform, making sure those things are solvent and still around, right, without being screwed up over and over again by the politicians in D.C. Take advantage of the opportunity to join now. See how they'll treat you. They treat you great. Right now it's free. It's 1 year. It's free on me. They're not even asking for a credit card. There's no cost, no tricks. There's none of that stuff. You just join. You sign up. Go to amac.us/Chad. amac.us/Chad. It's a free year membership. It's on me. amac.us/Chad or call 888-355-1668. Chad Benson Show.
Boys, give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers.
One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent, a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
The White House announced President Trump has formed a task force to lead the federal government's response to coronavirus, and the task force has met every day this week. HHS Secretary Alex Azar is leading the administration's effort, which is coordinated through the National Security Council. President Trump chaired a meeting of the task force in the Situation Room on Wednesday and tweeted photos of the meeting, saying his administration is working closely with China. Last week, the president said he is not worried about the spread of coronavirus and said his administration has it totally under control.
Yeah, I mean, so far, it's spreading, but in China, 7,783 cases confirmed, about 60,000 people under quarantine or being observation just to see. I think they may or may not happen. I talked to a nurse yesterday, a friend of mine out here, and I said, are you guys doing anything precautionary-wise? Because out here in Phoenix, we do have a person at ASU that came back, I think, from China visiting family and had the coronavirus. And that person's under bizarre kind of weird, like, hey, you're going to be under quarantine, but by that we mean go home and don't talk to anybody, and we're going to monitor you. I'm like, okay. And she said, look, the coronavirus has been around since the 60s that we know of. This is just a different strain. And they'll figure out a way to make this, they'll come up with some sort of vaccine for this. And they've already replicated it in in a lab in Australia, I guess. They did a clone version of it, so which helps a lot with vaccines. And we freak out, right? I mean, we freak out at these things. But we're also not really sure what it is. I mean, if you go look at Google searches, one of the big searches on the Google searches is this related to beer? People are asking that Because maybe people think that, Corona, the beer must be poisoned. No, it's because when you look through the microscope, you see it looks like a little crown. So 7,783 with 170 deaths, right? So that's about 2%, 2.5%. But the fear of it getting out is very real. And let's just also take this with a grain of salt. It's China. Now, they've got a boat that they have apparently quarantined with some 6,000 Italian passengers on board. So that's kind of interesting to see where that goes. But it's the whole thing itself is very much a fluid situation. Could it spread and become something absolutely frightening? Absolutely. Is that going to happen? I do not believe it's going to happen. I do not believe that we should be, producer Anthony was joking today. He said, I'm going to tape up the walls and put duct tape everywhere so people can't get in. It's just settle down, right? Let's take a deep breath. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Oh, my goodness. The battle's still going on again as they finish up their arguments. Tomorrow's the biggest day of all because the rest of this stuff means very little because we already know how this is going to end, right? But still, would witnesses be called in or not? That's going to be up for a vote. And I don't think that is going to be something we're really going to know about until there is a vote.
I'd like more information than they were apparently able to give, given the fact that information was not in the record.
There was Mitt Romney talking, saying, I'd like more information because the stuff I would like to know about is not on the record, it's not in the record. But you need 4 people to bring witnesses over. 4. You need 4 Republicans to jump ship. Mitt Romney, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, possibilities, yes. Lamar Alexander, possibilities. Again, don't know. Possibilities real, though. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
In this case, the helicopter was in such an extreme position, just 600 feet above the ground, diving at the ground 4,000 feet per minute, that terrain warning system probably would not have been any help. The pilot just didn't have a chance to recover.
TAWS, T-A-W-S, Terrain Awareness and Warning System. Helicopters aren't required to have them, right? They recommend, the FAA and everybody does, to get them, but they don't force the helicopters to have them. Would it have helped? What I think happened at some point in time is he got a little disoriented and maybe tried to make a quick maneuver, lost control of it. Because they talk about, well, you can't see you couldn't see anything, how thick the fog is. Yet we've seen the helicopter on more than a few different videos. So, well, obviously it wasn't that thick, because if I can see it 300, 400, 500 feet in the air or 1,000 feet in the air, you could see around. It looked like kind of, when your fish gets sick and it starts to go a little bit sideways and you're like, oh, no. No. Would it have prevented it? I don't know, right? Because I have a feeling whatever took place in the clouds, and he lost control and tried to get it back, and it just didn't happen. And then the tragedy took place. All that being said, there is another situation, and that's the TMZ situation. A lot of people are pissed off about what TMZ did, because for those of you guys don't keep score, TMZ got it out first before everybody else. Now there's a petition to take TMZ off the air.
Backlash against TMZ. First, the LA County Sheriff's Department called TMZ out for being the first to report the death of Kobe Bryant.
Now there's an online petition calling for it to be canceled. News 8's Kelly Hessedall spoke with the person who started that petition and joins us now in our newsroom with why he started it. Kelly?
Well, Barbara Lee and Carlo, his name is Will Larkins. He's 15 years old. He lives in Florida, so we talked to him via Skype. Now, he's pretty passionate about this topic. This is the petition that he started. He believes what TMZ did was wrong, and so far it appears more than 400,000 people agree with him.
Let's understand something, right, when it comes to something like TMZ or anything when it comes to petitions or whatever. There's always somebody who says, we should get rid of something. We should get rid of something. We should get rid of something. We should get rid of this. We should get rid of that. We should get rid of this. We should get rid. It's always negativity is so much easier to sell than positivity. But Chad, TMZ was horrible. They were awful. Well, they've come out and defend themselves, and we'll get to that in a moment too. And then I'm going to pose another thing that Harvey Levin brings up when he talks about a little bit later on in this that I think he's absolutely correct about.
It'd be extremely disrespectful to understand that your loved one was perished and you learn about it from TMZ. That is just wholly inappropriate.
I was like horrified almost. I was like, how can they do that?
15-year-old Will Larkins says the thought of Kobe Bryant's family finding out about his death via Twitter.
It's pretty heartless that they could just go out and say, #breaking, like someone died.
Yeah, someone died. Well, it's wrong. It's what TMZ does. But it's wrong. Is it wrong?
He says what made it worse.
People were tweeting at Vanessa saying all sorts of like, is this true? You know? And I was just horrified. I was like, that's so gross.
So gross. Think about this for a second. Even Shaq said when his nephew came down to show him when he was crying, he said, what are you crying about? He says, look. And Shaq said, it's not true. It's a bunch of fake. And when everybody heard the news, everybody thought it was fake, even when they were going to real reputable, quote-unquote, reputable news sources. Is TMZ one of those?
So he started this petition at change.org calling for TMZ to be canceled.
I just think there needs to be a little bit of a boundary, a little bit more respect, for sure.
But TMZ founder Harvey Levin defends their decision to break the story. He says the tip came in from a law enforcement source and that Bryant's wife knew about her husband's death before they posted it.
That's interesting. Right? Came in from a law enforcement source. TMZ's got the best out there. Do they pay? Absolutely they pay. Is that right or wrong? Well, we can discuss that. But, and this is why, by the way, this is why, like, stars, like, remember when Tom Brady was being the Inflategate thing and you know, like, he smashed his phone. People's like, he's guilty. No, here's the thing. You want me to hand over my phone to you when I know TMZ's out there, and I know many of you, hey, here for $10,000, here's a little something from Tom Brady with him and his wife or some girl or whatever, right? TMZ's got its tentacles everywhere.
Here's what he told KNX News Radio.
We talked to Kobe's people, and we were dealing with them for an hour before we published the story, and they said go for it. At a point, we were all trying to confirm it, and we confirmed it, but they all knew, and they said go for it, and they said she knew.
So she knew. Is that true? I think it is. Now, other people in the helicopter, that might have been a different story. But with Kobe, his wife, TMZ, they tend to get it right a lot more than they get it wrong. And then he brings up a good point here.
Levin then posed this question to the KNX radio host.
If you found out that Kobe Bryant had died on a helicopter and confirmed it, would you wait 8 hours until they publish the names of the people?
Stop.
That's a fair question. So let's say you work for ABC, NBC, CBS. You get a tip and it's confirmed. Somebody famous has died or something tragic has happened and you've got the scoop. But you're ABC, NBC, CBS. You're not TMZ. You're CNN, you're Fox, you're MSNBC. You're not TMZ. New York Times, LA Times, what do they say? Washington Post. You're going to go with it. Doesn't mean it doesn't mean you're going to get it 100% right, but if you can do all the verifications and absolutely, that's your job. And here's the thing. We have now, because of the competition for eyeballs, for clicks, for views, and the money and all of this stuff, being first is very important. Being first is absolutely important. And sometimes they miss. Case in point, Matt Gutman, good guy, ABC News. He reported afterwards that all the kids were on the helicopter. That was not true. He's since been suspended. Why? Because this rush to always get something out there. Rick Fox was reported to be on the helicopter. He was not. But everybody's looking to be first at something. Say what you want about TMZ, but I will tell you, a lot of times this is the way I look at stuff. If something gets reported somewhere else and has to do with a celebrity or athlete or some of these other things, you know what I do? If TMZ's not confirmed it, I usually say, why? Because TMZ gets it right way more than they get it wrong. Way more. Up until the past few years and before TMZ came around, this was the Inquirer. And guess what? The Inquirer rarely got sued and lost because they got it right way more than they got it wrong. In fluid situations, no matter what, I mean, you're going to get it wrong sometimes, right? Because stuff will be changing because it's a fluid situation and you're reporting on it. But they're just as much a news organization, whether people like them or not, as anybody else. It's unfortunate. It's a business. And no, they're not going to take them off because they're successful. It's the way they go about doing it that makes people uncomfortable. It's the way they go about getting everything that they get that makes it uncomfortable. It makes it smarmy and they do this and they buy stories and they do. Yeah. So you can say this all you want.
Stop. Just stop for a minute. Slow down. Not everything has to be a story. I know it's like great for your business, but not everything is about making money. Sometimes you just have to be a moral person.
No. It's business. And they're a news organization. It might be scandalous and celebrity news, but they still a news organization. And they scoop a lot of people. And I talk to a lot of people in the industry that also go to them in certain situations because they know they're going to get it right. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. People still talking about Derschowitz yesterday. Just, I changed my views. I do different things.
I've changed my views so many times about so many issues. I've written 40 books. And every time I write a book, I think of it as a first draft. And then I write another book, and my views evolve and change. So I was shocked that people thought that was such a big deal that I had changed my views. Of course I changed my views. I'm probably going to change them again.
People change their views, right? That's true. That's true. My question is, while the Democrats, the House managers and the people running around, freaking out on the, fire on the hair and the sky is falling world of crazy news television. How many senators on the left side of the aisle who were quiet yesterday, who don't get anybody asking them questions, who most people in their home states couldn't pick them out of a lineup, how many of them, though, were sitting there going, this guy's a constitutional expert. He teaches at Harvard. He has been critical of the president, but he's also been critical on the other side. Is that making any headway into any of their thinkings? I think for a few it might be. Just like I think some of the stuff that the Republicans are putting out there and what Bolton has said, or at least supposedly was a part of in his releasing of some of the excerpts of his book. Yeah. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter. My Pillow. They now make towels. 5 designer colors. Luxury feel and look. Super absorbent. Extra soft. Now when I travel and I go to a couple hotels, like right now I have to stay, it's tough to find hotels around here because so I live an hour outside of town And sometimes a couple nights a week, I stay in town. So I take my MyPillow, my Go Anywhere pillow and all this stuff. But a couple of the hotels I stay at right now, the only place you can get in is not in the greatest area right now because we got spring training getting ready to start. Plus, you have the biggest golf tournament attendance-wise in the world, which is taking place, the Waste Management Open out here. And let me tell you something. I thank God I take my towel with me. It's crazy because if I didn't, it's like, this is a washcloth? No, that's a towel. These things are amazing. I love them. 100% USA cotton, no cheap fillers or softeners, 6-day money-back guarantee, 30 by 56, extra soft and huge, 16 by 30 hand towels, washcloths as well. Now's your chance to save big, 30% off. You go to MyPillow.com, click on the new radio listener special. You're going to get 30% off these amazing deals. That's MyPillow.com. Code is Benson. Make sure you type in Benson. MyPillow.com, new radio listener special. Code Benson or call 800-983-4975. Save 30%, 60-day money-back guarantee. Code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where the sensible center hangs out. Hey, you! That doesn't mean you can put your feet up on the table.
You're despicable. This is Chad Benson.
Miami is notorious for its never-ending nightlife full of bars, dance clubs, strip clubs, and anything else partygoers are looking for. That also means Miami is a place where professional football players can get themselves into trouble. The Miami metro area has the highest number of NFL player arrests and citations since 2000. Most of those occurred in the off-season and include a mix of Miami Dolphins and players for other teams. But it's clear that Miami can be a dangerous place for athletes with money to burn and partying on their mind.
Yeah, that can be. It can be absolutely a dangerous place. Why? Again, money, partying, high profile equals what? Usually bad choices, which equals what? Usually somebody getting in trouble.
Players admit that they sometimes lose their mind down here, but they say local police are equally to blame. Some say it's nothing more than racism. A 2018 study found that African Americans make up 18% of the population in Miami-Dade County, but 38% of arrests. The lesson here, if you're an athlete coming to Miami, be careful.
Well, if you're an athlete going anywhere during Super Bowl week, you're a target, right? Unless you're like the kicker or punter, because nobody cares about them. That's why it's awesome to be the kicker or the punter. You're just famous enough to be cool. You get to do all the other stuff, and you have a chance to be a hero. It's like being a voice actor, right? You get to do all the fun stuff. You get all of it with very little of the headaches. Very little. But you go to Miami, and you're going to party, right? Like, they're still trying to figure out what to do with Vegas, right? Because Vegas is going to be crazy. Crazy fun. Yesterday, Goodell gave his kind of state of the NFL, big long thing, talked about everything, including Las Vegas.
You can feel the excitement. You can see the excitement by the stadium. It's a great facility. I've had a chance to be through it on several occasions in the last several months. I think it's going to be great for the community. I think we're going to be great for the community. And I think the community is going to be great for us.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what that thing looks like because it's going to be amazing. I just have a feeling it's going to be awesome. You know, it's weird, though, because you're opening up the franchise to Vegas, but then you got L.A. And I think the stadium built in Los Angeles will have right now, if you go around the world and you look at the best stadiums in the world, right now the two top stadiums, Tottenham Hotspur's new stadium in London is incredible, and he spoke a bit about that, Tottenham's new stadium, and they're playing games there in the NFL, and it's just how incredible it is, and it's probably the one that rivals any other major American stadium. And then, of course, you got the house that Jarrah built in the Dallas Cowboys, Cowboy Stadium, AT&T. This stadium in Los Angeles will be like nothing you've ever seen. Nothing you've ever seen. It is that amazing. It's going to be like must see. That's why the first year or so, I think the Chargers will do okay attendance-wise because people are just going to come out to see it. And it's built into the ground because it's on the flight path to LAX. So they had to build it. They had to dig into the ground. So when you walk up, the stadium doesn't look as big as it is. And then you walk in, and then you go straight down. It's going to be awesome. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. What will they do, kids? It's just never ending. The battle of battles that is, yes, impeachment.
The only thing I do know for sure is if there's going to be one witness, there'll be more. And there's 53 Republican votes to call Hunter Biden, not 51, not 52.
Yeah, so Hunter Biden, even Joe Manchin said, yeah, he is relevant to this. So, and that's a moderate Democrat who's not up for re-election in the Senate from West Virginia. Is it possible we'll see Hunter Biden? Joe Biden, it's possible. Adam Schiff, it's possible. John Bolton, absolutely possible. It's also possible we'll see none of them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
On Monday, President Trump tweeted, "The Democrat-controlled House never even asked John Bolton to testify." End quote. So that the record is accurate, did House impeachment investigators ask Mr. Bolton to testify?
Of course they asked him, right? And then they go through all the people they ask and blah, 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 blah. They go through the whole rigmarole about, this.
All quid pros are not the same. Some are legitimate and some are corrupt, and you don't need to be a mind reader to figure out which is which.
All of them are the same. It's all the same. You can just go through any of these things and listen to what they have to say. And it's just all, Here's the deal. Witnesses may come, they may not come. I don't know what's going to happen, right? 1 minute looks like they're coming for sure. The next minute looks like maybe they're not coming. We could spend all day, all night until the vote actually happens, until it actually takes place. We won't know, right? I think right now it's a 50-50. The other day I would have said, no, it looks like we're getting witnesses. Now it feels like we may not have witnesses. You just don't know at this point in time. You don't, right? They want Bolton, right? But then they're going to bring over Hunter Biden. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of... I couldn't tell you. What I know is that this impeachment is more political, at least it feels that way, because we are so much closer to it than we've ever been. We can watch it. We can watch replays of it. We can grab sections of it, right? And that's what everybody does, and they all run out to their own, they play a tidbit here and a tidbit there. And it's tedious as hell, by the way, right? Like, when you look at the Wikipedia pages of something, you realize that, okay, this thing happened over X amount of days, weeks, months. You weren't there for it. Thank God, because it's boring. This has been boring. Yesterday was a little different, because at least you got Trump's people up there doing some stuff, and you'll finish it off tomorrow. Again, they got another 8 hours. They go through, as they're doing and all the way through. But then tomorrow, though, is when it gets serious, potentially. I don't know what Mitch is going to do. I mean, we're hearing, we all expect Friday, right? Iowa's on Monday. So we're all expecting Friday's the day. Is it? I don't know. Is going to vote then? Knowing Mitch, you'd be like, we should think about it over the weekend and do it on Monday when the caucus is going on. Wouldn't that be such a Mitch McConnell thing? So you got Bernie Sanders, you got Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, and, of course, Bennett. But I throw you in there, but there's still 4 senators. But those 3, especially those 2, Warren and Sanders, to not be in Iowa because they have to stay there for a vote would be such a Mitch thing. I think we should all really check our souls and come back on Monday. We'll go from there. That'd be great. If we could just do that, it'd be super. One of those better things that we do. That'd be nice for us to do that. Let's just check our souls at this point in time. Speaking of Iowa, couldn't tell you who's going to win. I don't think they know who's going to win. Right? They're tossing around who it may or may not be. Is it going to be X? Is it going to be Y? Is it going to be Z? Right? Because over here, Bernie's leading. I mean, he's running away with it. Over here, Biden's in solid lead. Over here, oddly enough, it's Buttigieg. Right? What about the Yang? Right? He's got his celebrities out there. Dave Chappelle.
I think the fountainhead of many of the good ideas on the table this year are coming from a single source, Andrew Yang.
Back in the Yang gang. I like him. I like what he says here.
I don't look at Trump supporters as my enemy at all. I understand why people vote for Trump. I understand people are desperate. And I think that Andrew's right. You run against the reasons that Trump got elected.
And some of those reasons, by the way, are because of crazy uber progressives who have gone too far in everyday life kind of stuff and just made it so we all walk around on eggshells, right? That don't discount that political correctness stuff. You can't just discount that. So you run against that, right? You run against that hyper insane cancel culture. Totally. Bernie, bunch of ads out there coming after him. He's got ads. I mean, you're in Iowa. You've got to be excited for Tuesday because you don't have to see any more ads. You don't have to hear any more ads.
It is no secret that our campaign is taking on the political establishment and the big money interests who are now running negative ads against us in Iowa.
Yeah, of course they are. Everybody is, right? But you're all running negative ads against each other. I think Bernie's got a real shot. I think Bernie Biden, one of the B's, is winning on Monday. One of them. Bernie or Biden. Different polls. Bernie's in the lead. Different poll. Biden's in the lead. There's a few polls where Buttigieg is in the lead. But I just think if you go across and you average it all out, it looks like it's those two who, to win. And Biden's had quite the advantage of being in Iowa, pressing flesh, getting out there, doing the door knocking, having his people being able to say, no, Biden's here in the state now. He's working hard, and Sanders, to his credit, has picked up power and he stayed strong. And I think then you go out another week and then you've got New Hampshire, and I think he's going to win that. But if they were to bring in more witnesses, and this is something that is very interesting, if they were to bring in more witnesses, this is Jay Sekulow talking about witnesses. Because remember, you're going to vote on witnesses. Well, okay, so you can bring witnesses in. Okay. How many witnesses? When are they coming? How long is this going to take?
We're not here to argue witnesses tonight, but it obviously is an undercurrent. But to say that this is not going to extend this proceeding, months.
Months. Could it be months? I don't know. Depends on how many witnesses. I think if there's going to be witnesses in the impeachment, this is the way it's going to go. And again, we're not going to know for real. I don't feel we're going to know until the vote is out. I don't believe anything until I actually see it. There's an old saying in the world of sales, right? Don't count your commission and your money until the check's cleared, right? So until I see it with my own eyes and they say, all right, we're doing this, so we're not doing this, I'm not putting it out there. What do I think? I think if there is witnesses, it's going to be a very narrow scope of witnesses, maybe one or two on each side that are going to come in. They'll try to get it done quick, but I do think there'll be some legal wranglings. You got the no-no already, a formal no-no from the president about trying to block the book of John Bolton. So, would he, if he was subpoenaed and forced to come in, have to? Would he say, look, I'd love to come in, but because of this stuff and now my book and I've got to, because he's been very coy about he could have written, he could have gone his lawyer and went in and talked to the Senate and, talked to Congress. He could have done a lot of different things. He wants to be asked, but I think he wants to feel like he's being forced to do it. I think he's, I don't want to. Like, you guys are asking, and you're kind of pushing me, and maybe I will. I guess. All right. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Speaking of running, my goodness, will she ever go away?
I know that you're not running, but do you ever feel the urge that, I could beat him if I were?
Yeah, I certainly feel the urge because I feel like the 2016 election was really an odd time and an odd outcome, and the more we learn, the more that seems to be the case.
The more we learn, the more it's the case. The more that we learn, the more it's the case. She has said everything from Russia to sexism, right? Oh, it's because I was a woman. You got more votes than him. You just didn't get votes in the right place, right? She's come up with all those. The Democrats let me down. Bernie didn't support me. She's the excuse machine. She wants to be president. She doesn't want to run to be president. A lot of people do, right? It's really weird. Some people love the job and they take to it big time. Some people love the campaigning but really aren't thrilled by the job. And some people like both and are good at both. Like Obama, Reagan, Clinton, great campaigners, did a pretty good job, right? We can argue, on all of those. You can argue against all of those. The right and the left can argue all day, but towards the end, the second time, I think Obama liked campaigning more than they liked doing the job. And I get that. She wants to be asked. No. She wants to be begged. You have to save us, Hillary. You have to save us. Please, God, save us. Please, God, please save us. Here's something Biden said the other day about women, and there's all these people. If he was president, if it was the campaign, and would he even think for a second about, who would you do? Because I'm old and I've got to bring somebody in younger, and just throwing it out there. Would she, if he came and said, "Hey, want to do this? I'm only going to be here for 4 years, and then it's up to you." Something to think about. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens, fastest growing over 50 organization of the country. Currently giving you an opportunity to join for free. Doesn't cost you a penny. They don't even want your credit card. No money out of pocket. Just join. Find out what they're doing for you on your behalf, lobbying against things like horrible immigration reform, but real common sense immigration reform. Both sides can get behind. Making sure that Social Security and Medicare are going to be there and that they're solvent for you. Top of that, they offer retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, discounts on insurance. You want to go to the movies, big discounts, you name it, they've got it. And now is your chance to join. Again, 1 year, it's free. It's on me. It's that simple. You go to amac.us/Chad or call 888-355-1617. 1 year, free, on me. No cost, no tricks, no credit card required. Try it out for yourself. Find out all the great things they're doing for you and all the benefits they offer you. amac.us/Chad. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? What is trending on this beautiful, thankful Thursday? That is trending. Wilbur Ross, Commerce Secretary, is trending. Why is that? Because he said that the coronavirus could equal jobs in America. Here's something I will say, though. This is hurting the economy in China. They've revised their growth. Could be under 6, maybe under 5. That's on top of all of the other stuff with the trade war. This has not helped at all. Derschowitz logic, because of his argument yesterday, trending all over the place still. Right? Djokovic. He's a tennis player. He beat Federer. He's going to his, kabillionth final in the Australian Open. And it's National Croissant Day. Grab yourself a croissant. Head on over to Google. Google's a little different, a little bit hipper, younger for the kids. You know what I'm talking about? Talking about with Google? Younger for the kids. Different things there. Brexit. It's official now. They're going to be exiting soon. Big time. Coronavirus symptoms. My Chemical Romance. I like them. Coming back. Tour. They're fun. And American Dirt, which we'll talk about later, has been, they canceled the author's tour. It's an interesting thing because a book that is really good according to everybody before it became really bad, right? It's like, that's the new world we live in. Hey, this is really good until it becomes really, really, really bad. And Nikki Bella, WWE twins, Nikki and Brie Bella are both pregnant. That's trending everywhere. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. I love listening to people talk like about impeachment and during the impeachment and just the hyperbole that comes out of it. Just what?
I have never lived at a more divisive time in the United States of America than today. Families are broken up. Friends don't speak to each other. Dialogue has disappeared on university campuses.
That's true. Very divided. More divided than we have been in our lifetimes. There was another time in this country when there was another kind of division, and we were so divided at that point in time based on a certain subject and issue that we decided to take up arms against each other. Families were broken up. Families shot and killed each other. That was ugly, too. But in modern times, no, this is pretty ugly, right? But it's not. And again, so much of it is just intolerance of other people's ideas. And that's why we're going to talk about American Dirt here in a little bit. The intolerance in this day and age of other people's ideas, other people's viewpoints. We scream about the identity of people. Who do you identify as? What do you identify as? Who do you love? You need this. You're a group that has been completely destroyed, so you get a special status over here. We're going to separate you over here into this group and that group. Everybody's got their own identities. And but they never talk about, hey, by the way, just because you guys are black or gay or trans or whatever, have an open mind. The open mind is only for the thought that people like. And that's not good. We got to start popping some of those bubbles without any repercussions in cancel culture. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The White House announced President Trump has formed a task force to lead the federal government's response to coronavirus, and the task force has met every day this week. HHS Secretary Alex Azar is leading the administration's effort, which is coordinated through the National Security Council. President Trump chaired a meeting of the task force in the Situation Room on Wednesday and tweeted photos of the meeting, saying his administration is working closely with China. Last week, the president said he is not worried about the spread of coronavirus and said his administration has it totally under control.
Got it on lockdown. Every time the government says that, no, it's going to spread like wildfire. Don't worry. Got it right. Totally on lockdown. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be great. Super fantastic. Super duper fantastic. It's going to be awesome. Is this awesome? Like none of our soldiers are hurt, but then everybody's got headaches and it's no big deal? Somebody got mad at me yesterday. It's like, what do you mean you want an explanation? You deserve no explanation or something like that. Do you know how many people were killed in Chicago last weekend? I'm like, no. By the way, do you know that Chicago's one of the safest cities in the world? No, it's not. It is. Damn you and their facts. I think he's right about this. I don't think we have anything to worry about currently. As it stands, let's go over to our coronavirus super update board. Boom. 803 people currently confirmed to have the coronavirus. Of those, 7,678 in mainland China. 170 deaths. Total recovered 133. Thailand has 14, Japan 11, Hong Kong 10. Feels like the Olympics when you're going through the gold medals, right? The medal count. Let's look at the medal count. Singapore 10, Taiwan 8, Australia 7, Macau 7, Malaysia 7, France 5, USA 5, Germany 4, South Korea, United Arab Emirates 4, Canada 3, Vietnam 2, Cambodia, Finland, Nepal, and Sri Lanka each have 1. They got their bronze medals. It's been around for a while, since the 60s. The flu's still more deadly than this, but it doesn't mean we don't take precautions and look at what's going on, right? Because we absolutely need to make sure that it doesn't spread, and we need to get a handle on it, and I think they will, right? That's it. I don't think this is not like the movie Outbreak or Contagion or any of those things. This is none of those things. This is just one of those situations here where it spread fast. They contained it in a certain area. At least for now, there are 60,000 plus people that are currently being observed. But I don't think we're going to have a problem here. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that, right? Don't think we're going to have a problem. You know what's good news, though?
The increase in life expectancy is small, just a month. But in newly released 2018 numbers from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, lower death rates for cancer and drug overdoses have reversed a 4-year downward trend in life expectancy. A male born in 2018 will live on average about 76 years and 2 months. Females, 81 years and 1 month. Overdoses make up a third of accidental deaths, sending that figure lower. But drugs still weighing on U.S. life expectancy, with the rate of death from non-methadone opioids increasing by 10% from 2017 through 2018.
Yeah, so if you're born like 2018, you could expect to live a really good long life, and I think it's going to be even longer than people recognize. I think in our generation, right, I expect to live to right around 100. I think with the advancement of technology, how we're fighting certain diseases better, minus the coronavirus, I think we got a good shot, right, of that. I do. And it's not just about the life expectancy, it's also about the quality of life. I think we often we forget that. What's your quality of life, right? Because if you live to be 77 and those last 7 years are the worst, you wouldn't wish them on anybody. And then there's other people who live to be 90 and they're still loving life. I think some of that's also your attitude, but it's that quality of life that you want to be, that you pay more attention to. And we should pay more attention to it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. They're going to battle it out throughout the day as they're doing when it comes to impeachment. We will probably get a vote. I'm thinking tomorrow. I don't know what that looks like vote-wise. You know, I've seen, just like polls, man, you look and you get, the headline over here says, Mitch McConnell doesn't have enough. Then you go over here and it says, Mitch McConnell believes he has enough votes to stop witnesses. I don't know, right? And I'm not going to know for certain until I've talked to a couple people who are my sources, and I think the vote. Because you just don't know what's going to happen. Here's the thing. Wouldn't it be interesting if 2 or 3 or even 4 Republican senators jump ship, because you only need 51, but then you got 1 or 2 Democrats who flip, and they end up being the deciding factor of not having witnesses?
We've heard enough. There have been 17 witnesses already. So in terms of additional witnesses, we don't think we need additional information. People have been informed enough to make a decision and bring this to a final judgment. Senator Klobuchar just asked about what the public is saying. Majority of Americans say, look, you are not doing the work of the American people.
Yeah, but they've been saying that for a long time. Another poll say 75% of American people want what? They want to hear from witnesses. Doesn't mean they're changing their mind. Because you want to hear from somebody doesn't mean that you're changing your mind on how you feel about the president. Could there be a few people out there who are open-minded enough to say, look, I heard from Bolton, and I thought he would be that one that would drive the dagger through the Trump presidency, but after listening to him, maybe the Democrats did push too hard? Yeah, you might get a few of those, very few. Same thing, you might find some people that goes, I was open-minded enough to realize, even though I support the president, that what Bolton said made me very cautious. And, I see why they move forward with this. But I think a lot of people want to have... Here's the thing. Everybody wants witnesses. The 75% of Americans that take these polls, right? You watch. There's 15% that are like, yeah, I'm neutral enough. I'd like to hear what everybody else says. I haven't made up my mind on all of this, It looks fishy, but so did Russia. And so it's just another one of those things. But then you've got the other group, right? 80% that's really into it. And then you got 5% who just don't care at all, right? Don't even know what's happening. But those 40 on either side, they want to hear their witnesses. It's almost like you have to have 2 trials, right? You have to have a trial for the right and the trial for the left. They want to hear only their witnesses. So they want to hear witnesses, but only if it's John Bolton. And on the other side, the right wants to hear witnesses only if it's Hunter Biden. Like, what are you getting out of Hunter Biden? What are you going to expose? Nepotism? He used his name to earn some cash? Who cares? Well, Chad, it's because of what? There's boards all over this country, littered with Bushes and Clintons and Bidens and the likes, and Kennedys, right? There's all kinds of that stuff going on. Here's where Biden could be in trouble, and I will throw this out there. Just like with Trump, it's not the phone call. The phone call is perfect. Greatest phone call? Maybe ever. It's not that. It's all the other stuff. It's the Rudy. It's the running around. It's all these little people. Where Biden could be an issue is along the way, before all this stuff went down, was there pressure and pushing and probing and nudging? And that's what they'll be looking at. Not what he said that day about, we're going to yank this because, again, Republicans sent letters as well saying this guy needs to go, right? This prosecutor needs to go. IMF, European Union, same thing. But were there other people? Did they have their Rudy Giuliani running around doing something? And that's something that if you're Biden, But if it's just him being on the board and that's all it really was, and he used his pop name, come on. At this point in time, we've all made up our minds. I'd love to say that we all come into these things with this unbiased look and a blank canvas, and we're going to paint the picture based on the facts, and then we'll get to the real thing and we'll unveil it. But that's not the truth, right? Everybody has their own color by numbers, and they color the way they want to see it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. American Dirt. If you've not heard about it, it's very interesting. We're going to talk about American Dirt. It's a book that was met with huge critical success from Oprah Winfrey and across the board. People calling it the grapes of wrath for this times and all this stuff. But then the woke culture turned. Let's talk about it straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Deal this.
Mueller, arrest me.
Chad will trade you 2 perjury charges for 1 collusion and throw in a reduced charge of obstruction for free.
Yeah, I'd do that.
For just listening to The Chad Benson Show.
The tunnel, with its rail, electrical, and drainage systems, is undeniably sophisticated. But Special Agent John Callery of the Drug Enforcement Administration says it also reflects the success that beefed-up border security is having at the surface.
Mexican cartels are forced underground to smuggle deadly drugs and other contraband into the United States.
Literally, in this case, the tunnel likely cost millions to build and involved a crew of workers, but no one has been arrested on either side of the border.
Sophisticated, absolutely. I went with Congressman Biggs and Matt Gaetz and everybody who went down to Yuma a few months ago, and they showed this really sophisticated tunnel that was built from one side of the border, right, the Mexican side, into a fast food, I think it was a Kentucky Fried Chicken, had rail. It was just insane. Drugs, smuggling of people. Again, we talk about the immigration thing only when it's politically expedient and only when there's some way we can run out and say, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. Oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God. These kids are in cages. It's a concentration camp. Blah, 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 blah. Right? And then something else, because, again, our politicians have the attention span of a gnat. And they go, ooh, piece of candy. I'm done with that. Now we got a chance to impeach him. But what about, no, we got a chance to impeach him now. I don't care about that. Tell those kids we're sorry, whatever. Immigration's a hot button item still, though. That's why it brings me to this. There's a book out called American Dirt. It's done by a woman called Jeannie Cummins. This is her 4th book. The reviews about it were massive. Right? Massive. Grapes of Wrath for Our Times, Don Winslow. Oprah picked it for her Book of the Month Club. Said she was hooked from the first sentence. But they canceled her tour yesterday. She had 13 events left. Why? They're worried about her safety. She had unspecified threats, violence to Cummings and the booksellers, right? She has tons of critics now, who, of course, are super woke. Now, there's a movie deal, a 7-figure advance, and it seemed like this thing was on its way. What's it about? It's about a middle-class bookstore owner who lives in Mexico, Acapulco. Her husband is killed, and her kid have to flee. And it looks at her whole thought process is this is going to start a conversation about immigration and what kind of country we want to be. But that all changed when a big Chicana writer, Miriam Gruba, wrote a review, went viral, talking about, just how horrible this book is, right? It's just stupid, right? It's like the worst book ever. It is. Some people say it's trauma porn because the way that she stereotypes the Mexican culture and all of this stuff. And then it's now started the conversation of cultural appropriation. Is it right to do stuff like this? Why isn't a Latino woman writing these things? And it goes through all of this stuff. Now, some accuse Cummings, who is Irish and Puerto Rican, of stealing from writers of Mexican descent, right? In order to break through the white publishing industry. Blah, blah. Actress Salma Hayek got destroyed because she endorsed the novel. 90-plus writers and authors have written Oprah saying, take it down from your book of the month or whatever, your book, all this stuff. This is the world we live in. Somebody writes a book, right? And because you're from that culture, you hate it. You feel that she's stolen from your culture to write this book. And so now you want her gone. Right? This is scary. Right? Telling jokes. You know, we are at the point now where we are silencing people. So she doesn't have a voice? She can't give a voice? No, she doesn't, because she's not coming from that side of the border. Okay. What if she wrote it from the American side of it? Would she not do that either? What if she wanted to start a debate? What if she, it's so simple. We can't write movies about aliens anymore. We don't know about aliens. We don't want to culturally appropriate an alien. What if they land here and they see the movie Aliens and we don't look like any of that? It's insane. We've become too woke for our own good. And in doing so, we're canceling out way too many people. Way too many people. Canceling out one human being is too many. But this is the kind of stuff that you sit there and say, we're not having a conversation. You're shutting her up. You're scaring her. That's all you're doing. As of today, it's number 5 on Amazon's bestseller list. New York Times reported 200,000 copies in its first printing. The highest ranked work of fiction on the list for them. It's nuts. This isn't something we should be doing. This isn't good for art. Are we going to start walking into places now that we find art offensive? Saying, I don't think that such and such, or I'm of this culture and somebody painted that and that's up there and no. If we're going to start doing that, what's the use of having a country? Honestly, that's scary. That is. Wokeness is destroying us as much as anything else. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We know Senator Romney has been very clear from the beginning that he wants to hear from John Bolton. A few others have said they want to hear witnesses. And the way I look at this, 0 witnesses plus 0 evidence equals 0 justice. And so we must allow these witnesses to come forward.
That was Klobuchar from the other day. 0 equals 0 equals 0. 0 equals 0 equals 0. No evidence plus no witness equals a crime. I'm like, I don't think she's good at math. Oh, my goodness. She wants to be president. She's running in Iowa. She's excited. She doesn't move the needle for me. But Romney does want to hear from witnesses. Michael Bolton? No. John Bolton? Yeah. Absolutely like to hear from John Bolton. That guy. Why do you want to hear from Bolton?
Why do I feel like I'm an alternative universe? Because they keep saying things like, well, it's just circumstantial evidence. And I say, you have the guy that was in the room where it happened.
But remember this. You remember when they asked Bolton certain questions before in the past? It was a good phone call. We talked about going over a meeting. Everything seems to be okay. The relationship's great. Is that all a lie? Right? Remember this. You're hearing from the left and a lot of the media, minus Fox and Breitbart. I don't trust any of them because they all have a slant, but that's because they're playing to the base, and I got no problem with that. You're playing to the base, but, I'm here to tell you guys, I want to give you the whole story. I don't want to give you half the story. I'm going to give you the whole score, right? And sometimes you're on the left, and you're going to be pissed, and you're not going to like it. Sometimes you're on the right, and you're going to be pissed, you're not going to like it. But don't you kind of want to know the whole thing? Of course you do, right? Of course you do. They've got Bolton's old words in other occasions, though, going against it. He's selling a book. If you're going to sell a book in today's world, the fastest way to get on the bestseller list is to be a former something at the White House and to be in a huge fight with the president. You're guaranteed to get a high 6-figure, even 7+ figures. Sometimes, who knows what, right? Maybe you have a figure bigger than that. Maybe we're going on up to 8 figures because I'm going to get a multi-book deal. Why? Because the president doesn't like me anymore. Oh. When you sell a book, what are you doing? Got to sell that sizzle. Right? Sizzle. Sell the sizzle. Somebody said to me yesterday, Chad, you don't have to sell the sizzle. I sold Mercedes back in the 80s. You didn't have to sell it. No, that was the sizzle, right? Nowadays, all of the cars have all of the same things by and large in them. So you're selling sizzle. Now you get up to the point where you're selling $150,000, $200,000 cars, different story, right? That's the sizzle alone. But you got a C-Class over here, or you got a Honda, right? Like a brand new Camry. Man, you're selling, which one are you trying to sell the sizzle? The Mercedes is the sizzle. Because this Camry's got as much as that, if not more. You got to sell sizzle. Sizzle! So when the questions come, we only think, as I said earlier, and I continue to say this, everybody wants to have witnesses, but they only want to have their witness, and they don't want the other side to have a witness, and they want to feel like my team should be the only team that gets to bat. Right? All right, we're going to play soccer, but here's the deal. You guys have a goal, and it's bigger than normal, and we just got rid of our goal, so you guys can't even score. And that's how they want to play the game. No. Just as much as you think Bolton or Biden is going to help your side, they could just as much hurt your side. Because we're going to allow cross-examination if there are witnesses. And that's a big if. That's a big if. Don't know if there's going to be witnesses. Maybe there will be. Maybe there won't be. Mitt Romney.
I think any witness would be evaluated in terms of their credibility, but I have a great deal of confidence in John Bolton. I've known him for some period of time. He's a brilliant individual that I believe is a very strong and able person, and obviously he was selected to be part of the administration, and that bodes well for him as well.
Yeah. And they had a tiff, and they've both said they've had a tiff, and that's probably been even blown up more because of all this stuff, right? Selling that book, man. You got a $2 million advance. You better sell that book, baby. And they told him, you should not be releasing this book. We don't think you should release this book. It's the White House. All that being said, until I see the vote for the witnesses, which may come tomorrow, and I say may because I do know Mitch McConnell is the turtle, and he's devious, and he's the wizard of the Senate, right? That's what they call him. And while he wants this thing to end, would it be out of the question for him to say tomorrow, after a long discussion, we've decided that we're going to adjourn until Monday, which time we will pick it up and then have our vote on whether or not to have witnesses. That way people have the time over the weekend to prepare themselves and to think about which way they should vote, knowing full well that he's going to have to call Sanders, Warren, Klobuchar, and Bannon back on Monday to the Senate while it's Iowa and the caucus. That would not put that out of the realm of possibility. That screams of some like, oh yeah, I could see him doing that. Totally see him doing that. Absolutely. 100%. So, but until I see the witnesses voted on, they say, okay, we're going to do this or we're not going to do this. And then how many witnesses are we going to have? We're going to have 10, we're going to have 20, we're going to have 100. Is it going to take 6 months, 8 months, 5 months? It wouldn't take any months, Chad. It'd be over in a couple days.
We're not here to argue witnesses tonight, but it obviously is an undercurrent. But to say that this is not going to extend this proceeding, months.
Months. Jay Sekulow right there. Months. Months. Years. I don't think months. I think this is what I would love to see, right? I'm going to throw it out there. Each side gets 2 witnesses. You get 1 day. Each side gets total of 10 hours with 2 hours of break, right? So it's 8 hours, 4 to go back and forth. Maybe you need it all, maybe you don't. You get 2 witnesses each. And that's it. We move on with our life. We don't need any more documents. I don't want to find any more documents. I'm over this. You know what? You guys should have done a lot more in the House. Witness side. And by the way, people that are relevant, right, to all of this. Not hearsay, not angry people, people that were in the rooms, people have an understanding, people that were involved with it, not dragging out 55 people, trying to dig deeper into something else that may take us down another rabbit hole. Nope. 2 witnesses. That's it. Period. Case closed. Will that happen? I don't know. Not until I see a vote. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Coronavirus.
195 Americans spent the night on the Air Force Base. They will all be under voluntary quarantine for at least the next 2 days. They've all provided blood samples to the CDC, and they're rushing to get those test results back. It comes as there are still 800 Americans in Wuhan, the hot zone for the coronavirus right now, who want to get back to the United States. We've learned overnight there will be another charter to help them get back.
Yeah, so another charter. Currently, let's take a look. I've got my coronavirus update board. Hasn't changed. 7,783 people. 60,000 plus quarantined. I mean, being observed, right? Involuntary kind of quarantine in certain areas in China. They don't have it, but they may have it. So, still got some Americans there canceling flights. British Airways and several other countries, including ourselves, are looking, just not doing anything over there for the foreseeable future until this thing quiets down. Several other countries are looking at doing the same thing, just staying away from mainland China at this point in time because the fear of spreading it. So, there we are. Big story, though. I was saying today, what happens if this thing was to get out? Right? And it ends up in a place like, not just here, India. Could you imagine that? And it spreads there like wildfire. That's something to think about. Are we at that point in time where you should be freaking out? No, this isn't like outbreak and they're not going to quarantine off, like Tempe, Arizona or Everett, Washington, where the cases are, and then they're just going to just nuke the place, right? No, we're not there, right? We don't need Dustin Hoffman yet. But I think it's a fair question at this point in time to say, what if? Not so much for us, because I don't worry about us because I think we've gotten ahead of it and we've kind of got ourselves ready for it. But I do worry about other countries who don't have the infrastructure medically to handle it. Not us. We're going to be fine. And anyways, you got too many people who are Googling the word coronavirus to see if it has anything to do with beer because they're stupid. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Here's something that is amazing. I work with a company called Wounded Paw Project. I've been working with them for a while. I'm a big animal lover, and I love our vets, our first responders and their families. I mean, I meet a ton of them. Being able to do the things that I do, it's great. And I'll tell you what, when Wounded Paw came to us to say, hey, Chad, would you be interested in this? I said, absolutely. What they do is they rescue dogs that would be euthanized, and they take them from shelter dogs to service dogs, which is just mind-blowing. But they need your help. Their motto is to save a paw is to save a life, and that is so very true. These animals change the lives of our veterans who are struggling with PTSD and injuries. Same thing with our first responders and their families. And this here is amazing. Now's your chance to help. You can donate. It's easy. Proceeds are used to protect, advocate, and transform shelter dogs to service dogs for our veterans, first responders, and their family. You can donate your extra car, truck, RV, even a boat. It is a vehicle for change. They also accept cash. You get a great tax-deductible gift. Find out how you can get involved today and check out all the great works they're doing. WoundedPawProject.org. WoundedPawProject.org or call 844-678-4PAW. 844-678-4729 or WoundedPawProject.org. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
By now, you know that the IRS will not contact you by email, text, or by phone, nor will it offer its official tax forms to private companies for you to download.
If you Google W-9, all these different sites come up. Fill out online, print from your own computer, which is great, but a lot of these are scams.
Dana Steele, creator of Your Daily Success Tip.
Make sure it is an official IRS form from the IRS.gov site.
And she says, remember, the IRS will never charge you for a form.
We laugh because you think, well, who would do that? A lot of people do, right? A lot of people, they don't know. They just think, oh, this is it. They're trying to do something, and they don't know. That's why it's easy to fish. And people say, well, why? There's no way anybody falls for this. Well, they do, right? Because if they didn't, we wouldn't have conversations like this. And it's not just this. It's the conversations of, we're from the Social Security, administration, and we're going to suspend your Social Security number. I get at least one or two of those calls a week. That's not going to happen. That doesn't happen. But some people, they don't get it. They're not caught up on stuff. They're ignorant to it all. And so they get taken. And it sucks, but it's true. Dating scams, all kinds of things. And I tell you, look, if anybody wants you to run to a place to make a payment and you got to do it in a weird way, it's fake, right? It's fake. Now, if somebody's coming to take your car, that's the one thing. Got to go to Western Union and do this, otherwise you're going to lose it. Okay, that's a real thing, probably. But if they say they're from Social Security and you've got to get, you got to put money, I will tell you this. Social Security is not taking Bitcoin, right? They're not taking Libra. So be aware of that. We're not always cognizant of stuff. People run around. And because these are changing times and they're fluid, they're taking advantage of people's ignorance. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet us. And sometimes people are just silly because they think it's just awesome and they're going to jump on it, right? All right, anxiety. Now, I commute at very bizarre times. I work extremely long hours. In here about 3:30 or 4 every morning. I don't get out till much later in the evening. Have a little break in between. I work out, eat lunch, do some stuff, kind of relax, but I do a ton of work. I do about 8 hours. I'll do about 8 or 9 hours of radio today on air. One thing I love, though, is I don't have to worry about commute and how crazy it is. They did a survey of 2,000 Americans. The majority respondents, 76, say they feel, well, they're stressed out by the time they get to work. On average, they spend 580 minutes in the car over a month. That's 5 full days driving back and forth during a calendar year. That's insane. For some people, it's more. They feel guilty when they're late. But this is what I found to be interesting. $17,076.59. That's what the average respondent said they would need in order to make sure their commutes always went smoothly. I don't even know what that's about. Like, so wait a minute. In order for you to get here on time or to feel like your ride went smoothly, you're going to need another 17 grand. I'm not quite sure where that fits in. That's an odd thing. But, okay, just curious. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
In this case, the helicopter was in such an extreme position, just 600 feet above the ground, diving at the ground 4,000 feet per minute, that terrain warning system probably would not have been any help. The pilot just didn't have a chance to recover.
TAWS, T-A-W-S, Terrain Awareness and Warning System. Helicopters aren't required to have them, right? They recommend, the FAA and everybody does, to get them, but they don't force the helicopters to have them. Would it have helped? What I think happened at some point in time is he got a little disoriented and maybe tried to make a quick maneuver, lost control of it. Because they talk about, well, you can't see you couldn't see anything, how thick the fog is. Yet we've seen the helicopter on more than a few different videos. So, well, obviously it wasn't that thick, because if I can see it 300, 400, 500 feet in the air or 1,000 feet in the air, you could see around. It looked like kind of, when your fish gets sick and it starts to go a little bit sideways and you're like, oh, no. No. Would it have prevented it? I don't know, right? Because I have a feeling whatever took place in the clouds, and he lost control and tried to get it back, and it just didn't happen. And then the tragedy took place. All that being said, there is another situation, and that's the TMZ situation. A lot of people are pissed off about what TMZ did, because for those of you guys don't keep score, TMZ got it out first before everybody else. Now there's a petition to take TMZ off the air.
Backlash against TMZ. First, the LA County Sheriff's Department called TMZ out for being the first to report the death of Kobe Bryant.
Now there's an online petition calling for it to be canceled. News 8's Kelly Hessedall spoke with the person who started that petition and joins us now in our newsroom with why he started it. Kelly?
Well, Barbara Lee and Carlo, his name is Will Larkins. He's 15 years old. He lives in Florida, so we talked to him via Skype. Now, he's pretty passionate about this topic. This is the petition that he started. He believes what TMZ did was wrong, and so far it appears more than 400,000 people agree with him.
Let's understand something, right, when it comes to something like TMZ or anything when it comes to petitions or whatever. There's always somebody says, we should get rid of something. We should get rid of something. We should get rid of something. We should get rid of this. We should get rid of that. We should get rid of this. We should get rid. It's always negativity is so much easier to sell than positivity. But Chad, TMZ was horrible. They were awful. Well, they've come on to defend themselves, and we'll get to that in a moment, too. And then I'm going to pose another thing that Harvey Levin brings up when he talks about, a little bit later on in this, that I think he's absolutely correct about.
It'd be extremely disrespectful to understand that your loved one was perished and you learn about it from TMZ. That is just wholly inappropriate.
I was like horrified almost. I was like, how can they do that?
15-year-old Will Larkin says the thought of Kobe Bryant's family finding out about his death via Twitter.
It's pretty heartless that they could just go out and say, #breaking, like someone died.
Yeah, someone died. Well, it's wrong. It's what TMZ does. But it's wrong. Is it wrong?
He says what made it worse.
People were tweeting at Vanessa saying all sorts of like, is this true? You know? And I was just horrified. I was like, that's so gross.
So gross. Think about this for a second. Even Shaq said when his nephew came down to show him when he was crying, he said, what are you crying about? He says, look. And Shaq said, it's not true. It's a bunch of fake. And when everybody heard the news, everybody thought it was fake, even when they were going to real reputable, quote-unquote, reputable news sources. Is TMZ one of those?
So he started this petition at change.org calling for TMZ to be canceled.
I just think there needs to be a little bit of a boundary, a little bit more respect, for sure.
But TMZ founder Harvey Levin defends their decision to break the story. He says the tip came in from a law enforcement source and that Bryant's wife knew about her husband's death before they posted it.
That's interesting. Right? Came in from a law enforcement source. TMZ's got the best out there. Do they pay? Absolutely they pay. Is that right or wrong? Well, we can discuss that. But, and this is why, by the way, this is why, like, stars, like, remember when Tom Brady was being the Inflategate thing and you know, like, he smashed his phone. People's like, he's guilty. No, here's the thing. You want me to hand over my phone to you when I know TMZ's out there, and I know many of you, hey, here for $10,000, here's a little something from Tom Brady with him and his wife or some girl or whatever, right? TMZ's got its tentacles everywhere.
Here's what he told KNX News Radio.
We talked to Kobe's people, and we were dealing with them for an hour before we published the story, and they said go for it. At a point, we were all trying to confirm it, and we confirmed it, but they all knew, and they said go for it, and they said she knew.
So she knew. Is that true? I think it is. Now, other people in the helicopter, that might have been a different story. But with Kobe, his wife, TMZ, they tend to get it right a lot more than they get it wrong. And then he brings up a good point here.
Levin then posed this question to the KNX radio host.
If you found out that Kobe Bryant had died on a helicopter and confirmed it, would you wait 8 hours until they publish the names of the people?
Stop. Just.
That's a fair question. So let's say you work for ABC, NBC, CBS. You get a tip and it's confirmed. Somebody famous has died or something tragic has happened and you've got the scoop. But you're ABC, NBC, CBS. You're not TMZ. You're CNN, you're Fox, you're MSNBC. You're not TMZ. New York Times, LA Times. What do they say? Washington Post. You're going to go with it. Doesn't mean it doesn't mean you're going to get it 100% right. But if you can do all the verifications and you know, absolutely, that's your job. And here's the thing. We have now, because of the competition for eyeballs, for clicks, for views, and the money and all of this stuff, being first is very important. Being first is absolutely important. And sometimes they miss. Case in point, Matt Gutman, good guy, ABC News. He reported afterwards that all the kids were on the helicopter. That was not true. He's since been suspended. Why? Because this rush to always get something out there. Rick Fox was reported to be on the helicopter. He was not. But everybody's looking to be first at something. Say what you want about TMZ, but I will tell you, a lot of times this is the way I look at stuff. If something gets reported somewhere else and has to do with the celebrity or athlete or some of these other things, you know what I do? If TMZ's not confirmed it, I usually say, why? Because TMZ gets it right way more than they get it wrong. Way more. Up until the past few years and before TMZ came around, this was the Inquirer. And guess what? The Inquirer rarely got sued and lost because they got it right way more than they got it wrong. In fluid situations, no matter what, I mean, you're going to get it wrong sometimes, right? Because stuff will be changing because it's a fluid situation and you're reporting on it. But they're just as much a news organization, whether people like them or not, as anybody else. It's unfortunate. It's a business. And no, they're not going to take them off because they're successful. It's the way they go about doing it that makes people uncomfortable. It's the way they go about getting everything that they get that makes it uncomfortable. It makes it smarmy and they do this and they buy stories and they do. Yeah. So you can say this all you want.
Stop. Just stop for a minute. Slow down. Not everything has to be a story. I know it's like great for your business, but not everything is about making money. Sometimes you just have to be a moral person.
No. It's business. And they're a news organization. It might be scandalous and celebrity news, but they still a news organization. And they scoop a lot of people. And I talk to a lot of people in the industry that also go to them in certain situations because they know they're going to get it right. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. People still talking about Derschowitz yesterday. Just, I changed my views. I do different things.
I've changed my views so many times about so many issues. I've written 40 books. And every time I write a book, I think of it as a first draft. And then I write another book, and my views evolve and change. So I was shocked that people thought that was such a big deal that I had changed my views. Of course I changed my views. I'm probably going to change them again.
People change their views, right? That's true. That's true. My question is, while the Democrats, the House managers and the people running around, freaking out on the, fire on the hair and the sky is falling world of crazy news television. How many senators on the left side of the aisle who were quiet yesterday, who don't get anybody asking them questions, who most people in their home states couldn't pick them out of a lineup, how many of them, though, were sitting there going, this guy's a constitutional expert. He teaches at Harvard. He has been critical of the president, but he's also been critical on the other side. Is that making any headway into any of their thinkings? I think for a few it might be. Just like I think some of the stuff that the Republicans are putting out there and what Bolton has said, or at least supposedly was a part of in his releasing of some of the excerpts of his book. Yeah. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter. My Pillow. They now make towels. 5 designer colors, luxury feel and look, super absorbent, extra soft. Now when I travel and I go to a couple hotels, like right now I have to stay, it's tough to find hotels around here because so I live an hour outside of town, and sometimes a couple nights a week I stay in town, so I take my pillow, my go anywhere pillow and all this stuff. But a couple of the hotels I stay at right now, the only place you can get in is not in the greatest area right now because we got spring training getting ready to start. Plus, you have the biggest golf tournament attendance-wise in the world, which is taking place, the Waste Management Open out here. And let me tell you something. I thank God I take my towel with me. It's crazy because if I didn't, it's like, this is a washcloth? No, that's a towel. These things are amazing. I love them. 100% USA cotton, no cheap fillers or softeners, 6-day money-back guarantee, 30 by 56, extra soft and huge. 16 by 30 hand towels, washcloths as well. Now's your chance to save big, 30% off. You go to MyPillow.com, click on the new radio listener special. You're going to get 30% off these amazing deals. That's MyPillow.com. Code is Benson. Make sure you type in Benson. MyPillow.com, new radio listener special. Code Benson or call 800-983-4975. Save 30%, 60-day money-back guarantee. Code Benson, Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it anymore!
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
It is not our stories that needs to be told and listened to. It is the others. It is the people, especially from the global south and from indigenous communities who needs to tell their stories.
That right there, Greta Thunberg, who is patenting her name. And I understand why. She's patenting her name, the organization she set up, because she's worried that people are using her identity and her name to further their causes, and they're not really. She doesn't want to do that, and she doesn't want to be a celebrity. Well, this is what it is, right? This is part of it. You're part of this now, so you got to deal with it, right? That's kind of cool, though, right? Whether you want to believe it or not, this is you're there, so you got to patent your name now, so people don't go out and steal it, right? Like that little positive kid, right? That meme of that little 11-year-old kid, his mom suing Steve King, the rep in Iowa, because he's been using it in videos and stuff, and he's not licensed it and doesn't want to be associated with him because of his racist views in the past. Patent it, man. Got to get it out there. You do. You got to watch out for that stuff, kids. You got to watch out for that stuff. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. With all of this going on, people still asking the question of what did Alan say?
As a matter of law, does it matter if there was a quid pro quo?
Every public official that I know believes that his election is in the public interest. And mostly you're right. Your election is in the public interest. And if a president does something which he believes will help him get elected in the public interest, that cannot be the kind of quid pro quo that results in impeachment.
Yeah, that was him yesterday. And again, as they go throughout the day and into tonight as well and on to tomorrow, maybe vote, maybe not a vote, people are still asking the question, well, how did you get to this point where that it's okay to do this? You're basically saying that they can have any kind of power they want. They're trying to, phrase it in certain ways. Look, the reality is everybody who is a politician, they all believe that they should be elected again, over and over, because it's in the best interest of themselves. But they'll say of everybody because of their views. But the way the Democrats are phrasing it, and I understand the way they're phrasing it, that might be fine. And we do quid pro quos when it comes to our country holding other countries accountable for certain things before we give them certain things like money or weapons or whatever it is that we're going to do. That's not what this is about. This was trying to hold them accountable, not for the potential of corruption, they're saying, but for the betterment of President Trump. The argument, depending on how you hear it, is going to be he was evil and bad or he did the right thing. He has every right to. They got their money. At the end of the day, Trump's not going anywhere. Now, witnesses. And the witnesses, here's the thing with the witnesses. I continue to say it over and over again. The witnesses are going to be essentially important, not so much for whether or not Trump gets thrown out of office, which isn't going to happen, but more for November. That's the reality of it. If they can bring Biden in and weaken him by showing certain things, and on the other side of things, they'll think if we can get people to say, no, Trump, he shouldn't be thrown out, but he shouldn't be voted back in, they'll think it's a victory. That's the way that this is going to go. That's how this is playing itself out. So get ready for it. It's coming, right? November's coming, and Trump's going to be there. Iowa's Monday night. They're going to be battling it out. But November's coming. Trump's still going to be here. Witnesses or no witnesses. He's not going anywhere. At least not on all the things I've seen and heard, unless there's something so damning they just haven't brought it up. But I don't think they're sandbagging. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Follow along with me, as always, on Instagram. By the way, Instagram, Cristiano Ronaldo, the soccer player, first person ever to 200 million followers. I'm not quite there yet, but fingers crossed. Have a wonderful day. I see Friday. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.